Morning, everyone. My name is Jeff Osborne, and on behalf of the Manchester Presents Values, Ideas, and Arts Presentation Series Committee, it is my pleasure to introduce Coach Brian Cashdollar, for 25 years has led Manchester University's cross-country and track and field programs. During that time, his teams have captured 130 HCAC championships. He has earned 28 HCAC Coach or Staff of the Year awards, been named the Great Lakes Region Coach of the Year twice, guided a program honored as Great Lakes Region Program of the Year once, and coached 82 athletes who have competed at national championships. While these achievements are extraordinary, Coach Cashdollar is also nationally recognized for his philosophy of growth through incremental, achievable goals that empower student athletes to surpass expectations and build resilience for life beyond sport. Please join me in welcoming Coach Brian Cashdollar.
Always wanted a walk-up song, so I'm always envious of baseball. I want to thank the committee for allowing me to share what we have done with I'm going to specifically focus on cross-country here, just because track and field is a whole different animal and would take a lot longer than just one BIA to understand our culture and how things are all pieced together there. Although cross-country is simplistic in its nature, fire the gun, find the finish line. The idea behind it is pretty complex in how we do things. So I'm going to share with you our culture, focus on elevating people and winning together. All right. Yep, that's me. Thanks, Mom. My mom's right here. Not sure if it was my idea or her idea for the pink sweater, but definitely the long hair was my idea. So just always wanted to be like my sister. Any good leader, I think, needs to understand, lean into both weaknesses and strengths. So here's some of mine. I hate to lose. Thanks, Mom. Growing up, my dad was never big on competing, but my mom would compete till she was exhausted. So growing up, we played a lot of Go Fish, a lot of Uno, Old Maid, if you remember that. Played a lot of those games. The winner got to kiss the loser on the cheek. So I was usually playing with my mom and my sister. So the worst thing a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid could do is get kissed on the cheek by his sister. And so that fired my instincts for making sure that I never wanted to lose. It wasn't about winning, it was about not losing. I don't like to let people down. Big drive for me is I don't want to fail. Not for me, but for those around me. I want to make sure that the people around me that I am entrusted to create an experience for have exactly what they need to be successful. Whoa. So I'm a problem solver. If any individual on the cross-country or track and field team have an issue, regardless of what it is, it creates stress for them, and I want to remove that stress so that we can get back to doing what we do best, and that's going out for jogs. I'm motivated by achievement. Rick, all you got to do is just say, you're doing a good job, and I'm fired up for the next month. It doesn't take much. I'm pretty simple. I have a strong desire for things to be fair. Again, to my mom, many Christmases, my sister or I would receive a gift, real nice package. We'd reach in, it'd be a nickel, because she spent a nickel more on the other kid at Christmas. Kid you not. That is a true story. So I like things to be fair, okay? I love to win. I hate to win with a big advantage, or any kind of advantage, really. I like to be the underdog. If anything, I don't want to have the advantage So what that does for our culture is it makes sure that I care about each person on the team, regardless of their ability level. I don't like making decisions. Okay, this is tough as a head coach. I want to be a peacemaker. I want things to be even. I think a lot of us do, but that's one thing that definitely drives me is I struggle to make decisions because I worry about the outcomes. Overly confident. The one thing I did get from my dad a lot, no matter what it was, getting off the phone with him after a game, going to bed, I'd always hear, "I'm proud of you." And so my overconfidence definitely comes from my dad being proud of me all the time. Accepting of others. My experience at Ball State, I was a sprinter in high school, only ran cross country one year, and I was a sprinter at college. Sprint squad at Ball State, I came from a very non-diverse area, Auburn, Indiana. I think we had one minority in our school, and that person was adopted. So when I went to Ball State as a white sprinter on a Division I program, I was all of a sudden the minority in my crew. And so that really opened my eyes to others. So I became very accepting of other people's differences because I was finally really affected by it and in it every day. I become overly anxious. Fear of not being good enough drives me. I struggle with anxiety and depression, and I always will. And it comes from not being good enough. So I don't know where that came from. Probably my mom. My mom. Thanks, Mom. I'm a terrible speller. Okay, I'm sure I have some kind of dyslexia or something with spelling. Just because, which is why I got the winning wrong. Which came down to, we would study spelling words in elementary school every night. We get a list of 20, and we'd hop up on the table. I hated it. It would take me 2 hours to go through that list the first night. The next night, it would take me an hour and a half to go through the exact same list. The next night, it would take me an hour to go through the same list all the way through, and then maybe on Friday before the spelling, or Thursday before the spelling test, I would be able to get through it in maybe 10, 15 minutes. And then we'd repeat it. So I was an anxious kid. But it's made me successful today, as long as it's controlled. That's okay, Mom. I love you. Okay, not as many people have been here as long as I have, okay? This is my 27th season here at Manchester. New coaches come in here, or colleagues, or assistant coaches that I have, and they don't realize where we actually started. If you look at this, I'm not a very fast learner. I'm not a very good coach. I'm just persistent, okay? First 10 years, we didn't win much, if anything. We had 0 team championships. The first 2 years, our women's team was last in the HCAC. We got twice as good the next year. In '99, we were last. We got twice as good, and we were still last. In those 10 years, 9 years, we had 1 HCAC MVP, 33 first-team all-conference, no regional athletes, no national qualifiers, no team qualified for NCAA. Our conference winning record was 91 to 55, or 62%. Fast forward to 2009 to now, so we're talking 16 years, so it's not apples to apples, so to speak. My wife pointed that out to me last night. But we have established 16 team championships, and this is just cross country, remember. The women's team has the most titles in HCAC history of a women's program. We've had 15 HCAC MVPs, 149 first team all conference, 43 region, 38 national qualifiers, 4 teams that have qualified for nationals, and a conference record for the last 16 years of 266 to 21, 93% winning average. We don't deal with wins. We don't deal with wins and losses very often. So I think that's good to our sports that do. I think that's pretty decent. So this talk is about this time. How do we go to this to this? And then if you extend it further, how did we go from 2009 to continuing to do it? They talk about, the really good coaches talk about there's two types of cultures, building and sustaining. And we have had the fortune of being able to do both here at Manchester. So what we started out with are what we needed to learn. When I got to Manchester, these are the things that our student athletes needed to do. They needed to understand how to be a college athlete. Okay? I hate when we talk about or we compare divisions like NCAA Division 1, 2, 3, NAIA. The sport is the sport, and you're at college. So we don't talk about, hey, I'm so happy to be a Division 3 athlete, which there's a lot of great things to the smaller school model, and that's why I'm still here after 27 years. I love it. But being a college athlete is being a college athlete. You can either choose to be a good one or you can choose to be an average one or worse. And so we need to understand, like, it's not any different than me competing at Ball State than here, other than maybe some amenities or some different kinds of facilities that they have. The task is the same. We want to get the most out of every individual here at Manchester, and our athletes need to understand what exactly that takes. So we had to teach them how to be a college athlete. Understand the influence we have on each other. Cross country is about a chain, basically. So everybody starts the same race, and everybody finishes in the same spot. They're all running the same distance. So if our number 20 gets better, okay, they're going to push up on our 19. Our 19 is going to push up on our 18. Our 18 is going to push up on so on and so forth, all the way up to our number 1. So if I'm just playing, focusing on making the team better, my main focus should probably be on 20, right? The better I make 20, the better our number 1 will be, because it's just going to continue to push. Maybe 20 turns into our number 1. Then we're significantly better, right? So that's the idea. Like, that's why it's so important for us to make sure that we understand that our interactions with each other, there's no one more important on the team than anybody else. And how we treat each other, where we choose to sit at the lunch table, if we say hi to people, if we're smiling to people, if we say good job, that is a huge impact and an influence on everybody else. If we're just kind, we're gonna be happier. If we're happier, we're gonna have a better experience. Better experience, we're gonna become better runners. Understanding the importance of everyone on the roster. When I first got here, there was a little bit of, oh, they're not in the top 5. And I'm thinking, well, they're going to be in the top 5, eventually, probably, if I'm any good as a coach. So getting them to understand that as well, that everybody is important. How to be successful and what that means. And we're going to get into this in a little bit. We talk about catchphrases in sports a lot of times. Success is one of them. Let's be successful. Well, what does that mean? It means something different to me than anybody else in here. Okay? And it should mean something different. So how do we get a collective group to be successful? Okay? Cross country is our athletes lose more than any other athlete in any other sport. Think about it. Cross country. Okay? This weekend we had a race. On the women's side, I think there were about 90 athletes. On the men's side, I think there were 120 or so, 130. Okay? There was one winner of each. Only one person won out of all those athletes there. Okay? We had both winners. And they're both here today. But how do I take somebody that gets 50th and say that was awesome, that was a success, right? How do I get them to believe that? How do we define that? So each person has to have that mindset that what they do is important and a clear indication of what success means. And then how to set goals. We a lot of times as leaders, or as people that are being led, we don't understand how to set successful goals. We talk about it all the time, and it comes down to smart goal setting. But we hear things all the time. One of my favorites are like if we're doing race plans or something like that, and we do race plans for every meet. We'll get it, especially from the first years, no matter how much I say beforehand. Some of our upperclassmen do it too still. One of the goals might be to not die. Okay? Well, I hope you don't die, right? That's going to affect our score. But, or I want to run strong. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Like strong to me means like, oh, you're going to be in a weight vest? Like, that seems strong. So getting them to understand how to really set goals that are achievable for them every race, every year, that's specific for every individual. Okay, that's what I need. What I needed to learn how the human body works. Again, I was a sprinter. I had 1 year of high school cross country, and the reason I did it was because Kim Reino was on the team, and thought she looked cute, and I was like, I can run a mile or two for this one. And turned out. So I had no idea how to train the human body for distance running, none whatsoever. And it became an advantage for me because I had no preconceived notion of what that took. So I had to understand how the human body worked. Like, what did stress mean to the human body? How did it adapt from that stress? How do you get it to recover from that stress? And so my first couple of years of cross country was a whole bunch of trial and error, and I really sucked a bunch of times. But through trust and everything, we got it kind of figured out, and I feel like we have a really good system. I needed to understand how to inspire each athlete. And I think leaders, I think this is super important. If we have somebody that we are leading and we are not inspiring them to do their job with purpose, or to show up when no one's looking, to take pride in their work, then we're failing as leaders. Okay? It's our responsibility to do that. It's not their responsibility to come to our standards. They don't know. Okay? Maybe they don't know what our standards are. Maybe they don't know how to achieve our standards. Maybe they have a better way of achieving the standards. Okay? So I needed to learn how to inspire each person, communicating with that person. One person might be, for me, it's like, hey, good job. For somebody else, it might be, you need pay increase or something like that. Like, not that I'm saying I won't take one, Rick. But different people react differently to different kinds of things. So we have to be very broad in how we inspire people. How to define success? Again, going back to what is success? I needed to define it for myself and for our program. How to hold athletes accountable? I don't like conflict. Worst thing I have to do is confront issues, and I've learned to be able to do that pretty well and still be able to keep the peace, so to speak, and not lose people. How to communicate effectively. Communication, this is huge. One thing I'm super proud of on my evaluations, the last, I think, 3 years now, I've had a 5.0 perfect score on communicating with athletes, which is nuts if you think about it. The best score the thing I'm the most proud of, because now I know that each athlete is hearing my message and understanding it. Like, communication is not about, saying what you want. It's about them receiving what's important. Okay? And so whether it's what time the bus leaves, or, how they can be successful, everything and anything in between. You've got to be able to communicate effectively. How to create effective goals for everyone. Again, we'll get into that a little bit more. How to influence behavior. This is coaching. If coaching was only X's and O's, it would be super, super simple for so many people. I figured out the X's and O's by a year about 5 or 6. Again, slow learner, most people can probably do it in a semester. 5 or 6 years, it's the same system. We've tweaked things here and there. It's the same system we've run. But at year 6, I decided I had to do something to change the culture, or I was getting out of coaching. I just couldn't do it anymore because I hate to lose, and we were losing. So once that time hit, I read every book on sales, influencing behavior, how to be an effective leader. Like, that was my go-to. That's what I was trying to figure out. How can I connect with each person? Like, why is this person not doing these things? Okay? Inherently, most people want to be good people, right? They want to do the right thing. Makes them feel good. Some people have a long way to be able to make that choice in a safe environment. Okay? So what am I doing not to be able to influence behavior? Okay? So I had to learn how to affect our number 1, 2, 3, 20, no matter what their background was, what their experiences were. I needed to be able to influence them to get them to do the work so that we can be successful. how we changed our culture. Among many other things, as the coach, I accepted responsibility. There is not one thing that happens in our program that's a negative that is not my problem. Okay? This goes from anything from a student choosing to never eat vegetables in the cafeteria to somebody not putting forth effort, to not communicating well, to treating a teammate bad, to not developing. Like, that one's easy, right? So if an athlete isn't developing, it's never their fault. Okay? If they're not achieving, if they're not getting better, if they're not seeing progress in their position, then it's 100% my fault, because I guarantee they're all out there trying, right? Very few people would put in the miles and go to practice every day to run if they weren't going to try at the meets, right? So if they're not producing, I'm never yelling at them, right? I should be yelling at me, because it's my fault it's not happening. Or I don't have clear goals, or I don't have clear expectations of what they can do, right? So I'm either allowing whatever's happening, or I'm coaching it. But any problem we have is always my fault. Not a big enough team, my fault. Don't take, if we're out partying every night, my fault. Anything and everything in between. When they succeed, it's their fault. Work to build trust with everyone on the team. Going back to it, the reason our distance squad is so successful is because we have trust in each other, and they have trust in me, and I have trust in them. How do you do that? How do you build trust in every individual? Value every individual on the team regardless of ability. I can tell you story after story after story of individuals on our team that were never close to our top 7 as a freshman, maybe the worst in the conference. We had some of the worst in the conference. By the time they're a junior or senior, they are in our top 5. They're all conference. Heck, they might even be winning. Over and over and over. There is not a person on the team right now that I don't believe 100% can be good enough to be a conference scorer for us. And they know that. I hope they know that about me. Some of the freshmen might not yet, because we're still building trust. Be an effective communicator. Be the first to answer the why. I think this is one thing that I have learned that has helped me be a better communicator. When I'm trying to make a decision, I really do. I think about everybody on the team. I think about the men's team. I think about the women's team. I think about our coaches. I think about how it could affect academics. I think about, this is where my anxiety makes me good. Like, oh my gosh, all these things that are gonna be affected by my choice, and how will our student athletes respond to it? So as I'm developing what change we're gonna make, most of the time I am answering the why when I'm making the change. Because that's the most what people want to know. They're not afraid of change. They want to know why and how it's going to benefit the group, themselves, or whatever. I recognize if in some cases, hey, I know this is rough for us. This is why we need to do this. This is what the direction we're going, and this is the best avenue we can go that way. If I'm answering the whys, then there's less dissension. They know where I'm coming from, right? We're clear. We don't hide things in our program. I'm overly honest. I am not smart enough. Ask my mom to fool people. Remove roadblocks that delay development in athletes. Again, as a leader, my job is to make the lives underneath me as easy as possible, because they got a lot of work to do, right? Whether it's my assistant coaches, whether it's the student athletes, I need to remove as many roadblocks so that they can be great, and I can deal with the crap. Now, Andre's here. He might be like, whatever, Cash, I'm taking care of a whole bunch of stuff. But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make it so that their jobs are as simple as possible, so that mine can be complex and they can succeed, and together we'll be awesome. Always build up athletes, never tear them down. Psychology shows that in athletics, or in just human behavior, people respond better from positive influence, right? So if I never want to send people away from the program. I never want to be yelling at someone for something that I'm probably at fault for, going back to the earlier slide, I'm probably at fault for. I don't want to yell at them because it's going to push them away, right? I want to make sure that they understand just how amazing they are. And our student athletes will probably say this every time I see them. Hey, champ. Hey, superstar. You're awesome. Go be awesome. Let's be great together. Like those are my taglines if I have them. I just want to continue to remind them how amazing they are, whether they're doing something that's hard, great, washing their hands, like anything positive I can throw at them to continue to build them up. I taught the consequences of choice. This is a big one too. I have no idea, but I would bet that 95% of our cross-country runners ran 95% of their suggested mileage over the summer. If every team just did that, we would be winning all the time, right? We would be winning all the time. Because they think I'm a really good coach. They're just doing the work over the summer that makes me look good during season. So choice, what they choose to do, how they choose to interact with each other, how they choose to do their drills, how they choose to, if they choose to sit together, if they choose to do things outside, if they choose to do their homework, if they choose to go to bed at night, if they choose to partake in social activities or not. Every choice they have has a positive impact, a negative impact, or a neutral impact. Our job is to, or what I want them to do is I want them to recognize that. They don't have to be perfect. I'm way far from perfect, and I don't expect them to. But the idea is to recognize that every choice they do affects their athletics. So if they just think about that, if I play music, how's this going to affect my athletics? It could be positive. It could be negative, or it could be neutral. We want to maximize our positive impacts. We want to minimize our negative impacts, or minimize our neutral impacts, and minimize our negative impacts. Okay? Start to be a student athlete, right? We don't just get to put the hat on and put the hat off, right? I'm a coach, whether I'm out, at church, at home. I never get to take that off. And as a student athlete, you don't get to take that off. That's the responsibility and the cool thing about being a student athlete. You have to make a choice to be a student athlete, or you can choose not to. Give them a safe place to fail without fear, no judgment zone. Okay? I've gotten better at this just because of age, maybe raising some kids. Hi, Ayla. Giving them a space where they know that I am not going to judge what they do. All I am going to do is talk them through whatever happened, handle the consequences of the action, whatever that is, and we're going to move forward, giving them an opportunity to make some maybe better choices the next time. Recognize the situation, recognize the choice, what was the outcome. Let's in the same situation, let's try not to make that choice again. Will they? Maybe. Will they not? Maybe. Every time they do make a poor choice or something that affects negatively their outcome, someday it might click. As long as they're not doing things to self-select to leave the program, I use my words carefully, then they deserve a right to have a safe place to fail. As long as they're on the roster, they deserve every bit of each other without fear. I consider the words we use. Okay, when I said they self-select to leave, that's very true in our program. Our program is designed so that it's uncomfortable not to run miles, not to do drills, not to care about your performance, not to be positive, not to want to get better. That's our program. And so people that come into that program that can't learn that or don't have some of those qualities, it's not going to be fun. They're going to feel like an outsider, which that's fine. And I tell people all the time, if they self-select to leave our program because it's not what they wanted, that's fine. I'm still high-fiving them in the halls. I'm asking them how they're doing. They don't change my view of them as a person or as a human being. They're just not an athlete anymore, and that's a decision. That's great. Everybody's probably happier. That's awesome. So I don't judge in that aspect too. But taglines like work harder, be tougher. How many coaches say that? Work harder. What the heck does work harder mean? It's overwhelming to these student athletes that are already probably high achievers. Be tougher. What the heck does that mean? Right? What does be tough mean? We have to teach them what these things mean if we're going to use these words. Okay? So you'll hear us a lot of times, instead of saying working harder, let's be consistent. Okay? Let's be consistent. Because if we're consistent, here's what we're supposed to do. Most of the time in distance running, I don't want them to work harder. Okay? I don't want them to work harder. Here's this one big secret to our program. We hardly run hard at all, right? Distance runners, hardly at all, okay? Hardly at all. Interval work, one time every 14 days. Hardly at all, okay? So I don't want them to work harder, whatever that means. I want them to be consistent with their training. I want them to be consistent with their drills, consistent with their recovery. Be tougher. That's a terrible thing. In my opinion, it's a terrible thing to tell student athletes unless you show them what that is. In the moment, you made this choice and this was the outcome, okay? Obviously, it looks like you should be tougher in that moment. The reality is you need to be brave enough to make some decisions in that moment that can affect things more positively, okay? So pulling that out after the race is done, hey, I saw this here, this gap happened here, what were you thinking at that time? And so we can work through that rather than say, hey, you've got to be tougher in this moment. They're running real hard. They probably think they're being tough. We also say this a lot of times. I believe that you're going to make the best decision in the game to be successful in the moment with the information that is coming at you at that time. I don't know any student athlete that is going to purposely make a decision to make things worse for them or the team, right? We have to assume that, or else we have way bigger problems. And we'll get to that because we're going to figure things out. So if we are upset with them making decisions in moments, we have to understand what they're doing in that moment, what they're thinking and processing in that moment to hopefully, over time, correct that behavior, influence that behavior, so that they're braver or safer to make the right decision next time and be more consistent that way. Mine versus ours. Kids versus adults, men, boys, women, girls. What we use, I don't use I very often. I struggled putting I in these. Okay, and my wife's like, no, you have to. God, she's always right. So when I'm saying my team, it's about me. It's our team. Oftentimes I'll be talking to the student athletes and talking about race plans or things like that, and I'll say, we need to do this. We should do this. We should try this. We're in this together so that they're not alone in making these decisions. I have their back as they're creating their race plans. Even though they're going to be the only ones out there making those choices, what we say and how we say it is huge in giving them confidence, getting them trust, making them feel like they can make choices and not be fearful of the outcome if it doesn't turn out the way that they want it to. What does it mean and how will they hear it? You won't hear me call our team family. Okay? Family means so many different things to so many different people. I just don't like it. It just sits weird with me. So what we talk about is team. Okay? Team and family should have very similar things. If you think about the general idea of the term, you should care about each other, trust each other, be there for each other, all those things. Yes, team. Absolutely. That's what we want as a team. One thing that family, you don't choose your family. Okay? You're just part of it, right? With a team, you're making the choice. You're making the choice to be a part of that team every day. Okay? So there's the power. There's the control aspect. And it makes it, in my opinion, bigger than being family, right? Because I have power. I'm making this choice to be a part of this. When I stop making this choice, then I'm no longer a part of this team. And that's fine. Like, choices have consequences, and everybody can do what they want to. Winning, what is winning? The saddest time in my life as a coach was the first couple of years we were winning championships. I expected to feel differently. Like, I had it totally wrong. That's when I spiraled into some depression. And we were the most successful that we had ever been, or any team at Manchester had ever been in cross country. I was just expecting something more. So what I had to do was change what I view as winning and make sure that the athletes understood that as well. So it's not about performance, right? Performance anxiety. We are tied to a number. This is our PR. Okay? This is our PR. It's a horrible way to live. Like, if you think about it, if you expect to go into every contest valued at your best performance ever, every time you go out there, like, that's silly. I have to be better than I was ever in my entire life this weekend. Then the next weekend, I have to be better than I ever was my entire life this weekend, right? So that's not what winning should be. Winning should be the consistency, things that we can control. Are we setting ourselves up as our race plans? We never focus on race plans at the end of the race. We focus on race plans at the beginning of the race where we can control things, where we're not exhausted, and set ourselves up. That's success. Whatever happens later on because of that is bonus to it. But that's our success. Things that we can control, things that we can do. And then success. What is success? Okay, what is success? I don't know. So as coaches, as leaders, what we say, stay away from catchphrases unless you can explain what that catchphrase means in the concept of what you're leading. We fall into that, and it doesn't make any sense. I wanted to teach independence and not dependence. I bet, so our athletes have our year plan for the most part of the mileage that they're supposed to run this season, the days that we're going to do workouts, threshold days. If I just gave them every hard workout, I would imagine I could not show up and just say, hey, I've got something big going on. I could not show up, be there at conference, and they would still be successful. That's how much I trust these guys, that they will do the work and they will hold things together. And I trust them. Like, I have zero problem not being there for a day. If I have to go recruiting or if I have something else that I have to take care of, if I'm not there for a day, I have no doubt that we're doing all the drills, that we're doing the workout the way they're supposed to, that we're lifting weights the way we're supposed to. Like, I have no doubt. I have no doubt. And I would imagine that I could be gone for a semester and they'd be just fine, which is very humbling. So I had to teach them that. It's got to come from inside. If I'm yelling and instructing and doing all these things every day, all they're doing is cueing off of me. I don't want them to cue off of me because I need them to do some mileage when I'm not around, right? Like, during the summer, I hope they're doing some suggested mileage, right? I'm not going to be there to tell them. I can't check in on them, because it's NCAA Division III. They're on their own. See you in August. They need to be self-motivated to do those things without me looking. Okay? If all I am is a coach that yells at them, tells them when to go, when to stop, then that's going to be their cues. That's going to be their cues. So as soon as I'm gone, they're going to stop doing that because they don't know how to intrinsically motivate themselves. So we have to teach that. And the correct way. The way that we showed them. Not only are they doing things on their own, they're probably doing them the right way. Or they think they're doing them the right way, which is awesome, right? If they believe that what they're doing is the right way, great. If it's not, it's my fault, right? I didn't explain it well enough. Okay? Maintaining the culture. So this is the other part. So we got to 2009, started winning, and we've been very lucky ever since. How do we do it? How do we maintain the culture that we built? We have to connect with everybody daily. I go around to each person on the cross-country team every day, ask them how they're doing, how their legs feel. Try to interject something. Try to have a connection with them where I'm going to remember something that we talked about the day before or 2 days before or something coming up. Just try to make sure that they know that I'm invested in them. I talk to each person while we're doing our stretches. Share clear expectations, the controllables. Okay? Again, we don't talk about winning. We talk about opportunities to win. We talk about what it takes to get to the championship, how to be successful in that nature. But we always talk about, and upperclassmen know this, we talk about we're going to be the best Manchester teams possible. And that's going to be what we determine our success on. And we get into details of what that really means for us. Okay? What does that mean? Maybe it's getting fifth. Maybe it's having one all-conference athlete. Maybe it's everybody improving a minute from start to finish, which is really hard to do in cross country because courses are different and temperatures are different. But anyways, clear expectations so that they can control the outcome. Also, when you're and then setting specific goals for everyone. Every individual on the team, they have summer goals, they have season goals, they have individual goals, they have race goals. Anytime we talk about team success, if we talk about team success, we better include the entire team. Okay, and they better feel that. So if I talk about, hey, our cross country team, we want to qualify for nationals. Okay, if I'm talking about that from day one. Well, our number 20 person can't even get on the bus to go to nationals, right? So now they don't feel like they're a part of the team culture, right? So what is team success? How do we define goals for the team? Okay, maybe goals for the team might be, we want to run every mile the right way during practice, which for us is 65 to 75% of our maximum heart rate, right, everybody? Like that would be a good team goal in my opinion because every individual can do that. They can make the choice to do that. They're a part of that team goal, right? So make sure that when we're talking about team success that we're talking about every individual on the team, okay? Individual success needs to be specific for the individual. And this is something that we do a lot. We talk about, expectations of day one at practice. We have what we a 2-mile time trial. Every upperclassman has a specific time that they need to achieve or they should achieve based off if they ran their miles over the summer. If they ran their miles over the summer, you should be able to probably achieve this. Every individual has a different time. Okay? Because I need our number 1 to be as committed as our number 20. If everybody is committed, then they have something they can achieve. They have something they can control. They know that their work matters to their advancement, and the team is going to continue to be successful, right? So every individual has something that they need to come back and achieve. If I said, hey, we need to run, everybody needs to be under this time. Well, our top people, that might be like, they don't have to do anything to get there. So now they're not working hard because it's not that big of a deal. And some of our back of the packers, our 20 person is like, well, I'll never get that. As hard as I work, I can't make that. And so now we've lost them. So we got to make sure that every individual has that same idea of being successful, or a plan. Have a clear plan for every individual. Everybody has their own mileage, their own individual workouts, those kinds of things. Don't trust the process. Be critical too. We have a plan for the whole season, but we have to change the plan. We have to always be adjusting things because all the people on the team are entirely different. They go through different things. Some people are way too stressed one day and not stressed enough the next day. Sleep, if the season's going well, injury setbacks, those kinds of things. We have to be able to adjust things, and we have to be critical of that process. Welcome feedback. I love end of season evaluations from athletes. Like I take them so seriously when I first started till now. Like I really try to look at those and try to make all the numbers better the next year. Like if there's a number, there's one area that's low, how can I change the program so that number gets higher than the next year? And we've done a good job of making sure that those go up and up and up. And then, yeah. And then finally, I think this is my culture. This is my coaching philosophy. I'm a big crier too. I've learned that people will never forget what you said. People will never forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. What an amazing opportunity I have to do what I do. So that's it. Thank you.